rather than control one. I know that I'm extremely fortunate to have survived my CIA, MK Ultra, White House, Pentagon level, trauma base, mind control victimization. Now that I'm in control of my own mind and ultimately my free will, I'm telling everything that I witnessed and saw and heard and photographically recorded behind the scenes of this New World Order effort. By telling their secrets, their power is eroding. I also speak out to give voice to the many mind control victims and survivors out there who can't think to speak out and tell what they know and what they've endured. I speak out for the sake of my daughter, Kelly, who's now 16 years old and is a political prisoner in the custody of the state of Tennessee, where she's being denied any rehabilitation due to the political affluence of her abusers. She's counting on Mark and I to get this word out on her behalf. For Kelly's sake and for your sake, Mark and I have gone to great lengths to document the facts and the truths that are listed in our book, Transformation of America. Transformation of America is self-published, uncensored, so that you can have the facts that you have a right to know and a need to know. These truths have been covered up and kept from all of us for a long time under a blanket of so-called national security. This is the same blanket of national security that has prevented us from obtaining justice, despite the extensive evidences and documentation we have. We have over 27,000 documents and evidences. Government insider testimony, medical records, more than enough evidence for any legal procedure in this country, including congressional. But this blanket of national security has stopped us from obtaining justice. It's time for truth to prevail. It's time that these truths were brought to light for the sake of humanity as we know it. I'd like to begin by defining mind control.
Welcome back. Of course, can't give all that to you. That was, again, Kathy O'Brien, author of the book, Transformation of America, talking about mind control, talking about child trafficking, human trafficking, and, again, telling her own personal story and testimony. So I encourage you to step up and tell yours, particularly those of you that live in this city that have gone to some of these so-called fine schools, elite schools, and institutions, and know that you and your children has been victims as well. I'd probably say, man, when you really get some truth and reconciliation, many have not escaped, unfortunately, being victims of mind control, being victims of child trafficking, human trafficking, and child pedophilia as well, and have been taken off. And even though they're grown, they're not grown. They've been stuck in this state of arrested development, and it's going to take those that's willing to operate on the heart, or operate on the mind, operate on the spirit with love and with justice in order to free adults that have been wounded as children and have not had the opportunity to really tell their story. And so there's a lot of hurt in this city, in this state, in this country, on this planet right now. And so you tune to the State of the City. Let me go to this quick musical break. Then we're going to come back in and open up the lines. Take your thoughts, questions, comments before I talk about your mayor. And again, her achieving this, of course, august honor of being the, again, the holder of being the worst mayor in America. And if time permits, I'm going to talk about Detroit, the latest bankruptcy lie, and encourage you to read this article because you clearly see that there is no bankruptcy in Detroit except the bankruptcy of leadership right now and those that are coming in looking to bleed Detroit. And I'll give you this website, and you can read the article for yourself, as other websites have talked about, that all of this is a lie. But if they said in Nazi Germany, if you tell a lie long enough, then the people will believe it and think that there is a bankrupt city named Detroit, and you just have those that are trying to come in and plunder Detroit, privatize Detroit, and the citizens are going to have to fight back because they're coming soon to a town near you if they could pull it off in Detroit. So let me go to this clip from our brother Wise Intelligent, then we'll be back with more of the state of the city. So listen to this message, and we'll be right back with more.
Black youth in Africa in the form of an oral polio vaccine by Dr. Hillary Kaprowski, who is currently the director of biovirology at Thomas Jefferson University in Philadelphia. Today, a child dies every minute of HIV/AIDS in sub-Saharan Africa. In the U.S., African Americans represent 49% of all new AIDS cases. The globe holders, the population controllers, the AIDS makers, dark nation depopulators, the Contra trainers, American Nazi bankers, the tower bombers, right-wing Al-Qaeda sponsors, Hitler's accomplice, 9/11 mission accomplished. Free your conscience. In ghettos they kill the prophets, the juggernauts, the alphabet cops, the CIA, FBI, the coca crops, imported to local blocks. The 5 years for the black to the month that the cracker got. A powder pot compared to a gram of rock. Got blacks at 50% of the prison pop. The whacking huts, the correction corporations, the International Planned Parenthood Federation, the forced abortion, forced sterilizations, the sons of Satan, Operation Depopulation. From 1924 to 1976, 32 states in the U.S. utilized eugenics programs to depopulate the country of so-called weak breeds who were downbreeding the American population. Some 65,000 black youth from public school districts throughout the country were given a biased IQ test. All who failed the test were sterilized against their or their parents' will. The diamond dealers, them choppers and baby killers, the oil drillers, black nation resource stealers, the truth concealers, suppression of true guerrillas, Patrice Lumumba, Nkrumah, Lauren Kabila, the people traders, poor population enslavers, the black/brown/yellow baby cremators, the black/brown/yellow unity haters, the red/white/blue liberty waivers, eugenicists, world imperialists, evolutionists, black womb pollutionists, the euthanizers, third world birth sterilizers, Nazi sympathizers, financiers and arms suppliers, the nuke igniters, the World Health Organizers, the virus writers, smallpox, Ebola splicers, the throne usurpers, the worst death deservers, the devil worship, more power for every murder. A 1996 expose by the San Jose Mercury News documented CIA involvement in a Nicaraguan drug ring which poured thousands of kilos of cocaine into Los Angeles African American neighborhoods in the 1980s. Drug boss Danilo Blandon, now an informant for the DEA, acknowledged under oath the drugs for weapons deals with the CIA-sponsored Contras. The Club of Rome, World Bank, the Skull and Bones, Allah engraved in the Pope's throne. The camouflage, the right verse left mirage. Bush and Kerry got naked to pledge in the same lodge. The Reagan years, luminous presidents. Ever since they've been facing the obelisk, the Kabbalists. Harry Potter is not a myth. This ain't on radio, but this that. The war on drugs has been a war on poor people, particularly poor urban African-American men and women. It's well documented that police enforcement of the new harsh drug laws have been focused on low-level dealers in communities of color. Arrests of African-Americans have been about 5 times higher than arrests of whites, although whites and African-Americans use drugs at about the same rate. African-Americans have been in prison in numbers even more disproportionate than their relative arrest rates. It is estimated that in 1994, on any given day, 1 out of every 128 U.S. adults was incarcerated, while 1 out of every 17 African-American adult males was incarcerated. The differential in sentencing for powder and crack cocaine is one glaring example of institutionalized racism. About 90% of crack arrests are of African-Americans, while 75% of powder cocaine arrests are of whites. Under federal law, it takes only 5 grams of crack cocaine to trigger a 5-year mandatory minimum sentence, but it takes 500 grams of powder cocaine 100 times as much to trigger the same sentence for a white boy.
Welcome back. You're listening to the State of the City. That was our brother, of course, Wise Intelligent. And let me come to the line. Take your thoughts, questions, comments, 410-761-1592. As I said before, and if time permits, I'll get into this headline talking about your former disgrace who should have been kicked out, tricked out. No, not your ex-senator, but Andre Alonso, the big jabroni, taking $150,000 of accrued days. The old saying goes, if you don't use it, you lose it. He was supposed to give at least a 90-day notice if he left. He gave less than that, so therefore he should have not received that money. And so we should be encouraging the comptroller and whoever has to sign that check. Say, hold up, wait a minute. You're not worthy of this money. And, of course, if I get time, I'll get into this article, the worst mayor in America, and why she's the worst mayor in America. as well as the latest bankruptcy lie in Detroit. And they have how they have used a little known, or probably not a little known, but the city of Detroit is victims of the CFR and CAFR, what's called Comprehensive Annual Financing Report. And they've used what is called creative accounting, which means some fraud has been going on out there. But it takes those that's willing to be patriots to stand up and tell the truth regarding what is taking place in Detroit. And how Detroit is just a victim of the Gordon Gekko Wall Street types that are looking to liquidate that city, liquidate pensions. But don't worry, your pension is next. If you don't stand up and support them, they're coming for your city next, Baltimore. So with that, as long as you got some dumb politicians in place and a dumb mayor, dumb city council president, and those in the Department of Financing that's willing to violate state laws and kick people out when they voting on contracts that they may have some interest in and some contacts in, it's a criminal enterprise disguising itself as a legitimate government. But Stephanie couldn't be the worst mayor in America without Sheila being the worst mayor in America, and without O'Malley being the worst mayor in America, because her administration is an amalgamation of their administration or regimes as well. But with that, let me come to the lines, 410-761-1592. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the State of the City.
Good afternoon, Brother Dunn. How are you?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Oh, hey, look here, brother. You know now, in reference to Bradley Manning, man, look, I'm hoping for a positive outcome because if it were not for him, man, a lot of this stuff probably would have been going on unpublicized.
That's right, brother. Yes, sir. But this is what's been going on under Obama, man. You probably got more reporters been killed since Obama been the administration. When we look at the death of Michael Hastings and others, in terms of whistleblowers in this country right now, man, and getting rid of course, those in the military and those that are working in government that are willing to step up and step out and speak out and give that information up regarding this government and what this government is doing to the American people and then their crimes overseas, brother. But yet, you won't hear the civil rights leadership, as Dr. King went beyond civil rights and talked about human rights. None of them will condemn him for these acts of wars and these acts of aggression, these acts of preemptive strikes, and, of course, the violation of human rights when it comes to killing children, brother. So, they've lost their moral authority and their moral compass a long time ago in terms of the selection of Obama, that our people have lost their moral compass, man. They want us to condemn violence in the streets, but they don't want to condemn violence in the suite. So they want us to condemn violence in America, but not violence abroad. So
hey, Brother
it's wrong.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, brother, but now we spoke about this a while back.
Yes.
Wasn't it you that stated that the Sandusky case was the tip of the iceberg?
Oh, that's the tip of the iceberg. If you notice, they talk about Cal Ripken. He ain't said what really happened to his mom, right?
Don't you find that amazing, man,
Yes,
how
sir.
you got almost a full-color shot of this guy?
Yes, sir. Full color.
Let's call him the Invisible Man, shall we?
Yes, sir. Well, he was on that board of Jerry Sandusky's Second Mile Foundation, brother. For some reason, some don't want to talk about, but those that in the know kind of know a little history of Cal Ripken. But let me continue, all right?
Brother Dan, one more last comment, man. I tell you what, brother, when all the smoke clear, you definitely will find them Jesuits sitting right
sir.
at the table.
That's right. Thank you for
Okay,
your call,
brother.
brother. All right, with that, we'll take more of your calls, 410-761-1592 if you want to get in on the conversation. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the State of the City.
My brother Muhammad, peace, brother.
Peace to you, my brother. How are you? Thoughts,
I'm
comments?
fine.
Yes, sir.
To add to the plethora of information you've given out,
Yes.
to add to that, of course, we know this is a white man's creation and also white man's perpetration.
Yes.
The people, again, don't realize how deep this thing goes.
Yes, sir.
Even to the government and government agencies.
That's right.
They can pull up on the Internet the CIA Finders Operation.
Yes.
Where the CIA and FBI are involved in kidnapping, abducting children for not just sex slavery, but also ritual sacrificing.
Yes, sir. Right. That's right.
These people are evil to the core.
Right.
And this is why this problem will not and cannot be remedied, because you have those in power.
That's right.
You have people with billions of dollars that are involved in this evil system of sexual pedophilia, satanic ritual of kids.
That's right.
And it goes younger than 13, 12, and 10 years old.
Yeah. Well, they want to get them. They want to get them in puberty because of what takes place with the child in terms of that energy that they have. I think David Icke, Jordan Maxwell, and some others, Phil Valentine, Dr. Delbert Blair talks about
Teddy Gunther.
Gunther. Yes, sir. Right. And even Kathy O'Brien. I mean, she just listening to her tell her story, and Mark Phillips, and again, man, it's one of the greatest cover-ups in the history of this country. And clearly, as I said before, what we saw yesterday in talking about 105 children rescued is not the greatest rescue of children who are victims of, again, child trafficking.
That's just the tip, man.
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
that's a minute number.
That's right.
I mean, with the Franklin cover-up with Larry Lawrence King,
right.